guys. Appreciate it.
It's easy to say, we have this joke all the time, right? When you're a trader, you often say that, I think I've got a mindset issue. My mindset, you know, I know my technical analysis, I know everything, it's a mindset issue. How many of you guys and girls have experienced that, where you feel like that your technicals are on point, show of hands, but your mindset's an issue? Right, see, the moment you start experiencing those things, that's when you actually need to look at the technicals, because we know it's 90% psychology and we know it's 10% to the technicals, but you have to ask yourself, how much of those 10% do you know? I'm still learning, right? Some of the most successful traders I know within the community, they're always still learning. So the moment that you're just open with these principles that, oh, maybe there's an extra tweak that I can make. There might not be that tweak, but it's just being open to that information is what is going to make you a more neutral and better trader. So with these principles, honestly, these are the pillars of Falcon, and I just want to share with you my story. So the moment that changed everything for me. A lot of you will be working 9 to 5, you'll have your jobs, you might have businesses. Show of hands, who's working a 9 to 5 at the moment? Yeah, so quite a lot of you. I'm sure you've got goals to, you know, break out of the 9 to 5 or quit the job, have a full-time trading, maybe have another business as well. The moment that changed everything for me was when I worked for the second largest company, an engineering company in the UK, and I was 17 at the time. I was doing the whole apprentice thing, 1 day at college and then 4 days working for the company. And I wasn't there that long, you know, 7, 8 months, and I wanted to be a bridge engineer. So this was my focus. My family was all about, you know, certificate, are you gonna be a doctor, a lawyer, etc. like that. And the whole office got made redundant, right? The whole office got made redundant. I remember walking in and there was a particular person called Alex at the time that was sort of mentoring me. He was a few years older. And he just said, I've got to pull you to the side, because he knew that I was so emotionally invested that I'm going to work my way up, I'm going to be a principal engineer and I'm going to work on this project. I visualized working on things like Golden Gate Bridge, you know, big projects that I could work on in the future. And then I remember, I won't say his full name, but Mr. Mason, he was about 60 years old, and I see him with this box, just walking out with this box. And he just looked miserable, and he was someone who was just electric in the room, always helping people, always helping the, you know, senior engineers. And I said, what are you going to do now? And his expression, I just remember on his face, he said, so who's going to employ a 60-year-old? And then just then it just hit me. That moment, I just thought, wow, this guy's 5 years from retirement, probably got a lifestyle to upkeep. He's got kids, a mortgage, whatever it may be. He's got a 5-year plan that now he's thinking, who's going to employ a 60-year-old? Because if they are going to do something, they're going to employ maybe someone who's 30, someone they can invest. They want to take someone in the company, they're going to be there for the long run, not someone for the next 5 years. And I realized in that moment, I never ever want to be, and I felt so shit, right? But I never ever want to be in that position where I could be made redundant again, right? And it just hit me. Who does affirmations, by the way? That would be interesting to know. Yeah, good. So whether you do affirmations or believe in them or not, some people say that I don't believe in affirmations. They'll say things like, you know, I'm a winner, I'm focused, I'm a focused individual, I don't need that, I'm a winner. Well, that is affirmations within itself. So whether you write it down, whether you say it to yourself in the mirror, you're affirming good things to yourself, or you're affirming bad things to yourself, essentially. So I made it a habit, a practical habit, that if I want to manifest these goals into my life, because growing up at a council estate, some of you here will know me from where I grew up, I wasn't born into money or anything like that. So it was that fear of being average. And then I started to condition myself, well, it doesn't matter. As long as I got it down on paper, as long as I've got it specific enough, I can do it, I can achieve it.
So I know how it is not to have anything. And when I look back at my life, sometimes I try to pinch myself. How is it possible that now I live the life I've always wanted to live? And it all comes down to goal setting, right? So I believe in everything Mark has said. So back in the day when I worked for Goldman Sachs, I remember that even though I was grateful for the experience, I also felt that it wasn't for me, right? And I felt trapped. And I remember that every single day, I would literally go to the toilet and I would literally sit like this. I mean, I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting in the toilet with my pants on. I would sit like this, rest my head, and I would meditate for 20 minutes. And I would imagine I'm in a different place. And then after 20 minutes, alarm goes off. Oh, shit. And I try to turn it off so nobody can hear that I'm power napping in the toilet. Stand up, go outside, get some cold water, splash on my face, shot of espresso, I go back to the war zone, right? So one day I got so frustrated with this state of affairs because I didn't want to work for a corporation. I always wanted to build businesses. I wanted to help a ton of people around the world. I wanted to have this sense of contribution, right? So by the way, how many of you can relate to this? Anybody? Yeah? All right, cool. So one day I wrote an email to my very good friend Gianluca, and in that email I explained in excruciating detail how I'm gonna live my perfect day in the future, right? So I talked about things such as living by the beach, managing everything online, helping a ton of people, right? Having the freedom of mobility, having amazing people around me. The funny thing is that I enjoyed it so much that I kept writing and writing and writing, and I kept refining that vision, and a few years later, my vision became a reality. Now the question is it because of some type of law of attraction? I closed my eyes and bam, it appeared. Like some people say, close your eyes, visualize $10,000 and then it's at your doorsteps. That's bullshit, right? It doesn't work. There's lots of hard work, but setting that vision made me realize what I truly wanted and what I didn't want. So right now, I'm gonna ask some of you just to literally take the mic and share with me just one thing you're happy about today and you're excited about. You and then one last person after you, okay. And I want to ask some of you who is really fucking terrified to do it. No, for real.
I'm a little terrified.
All right. Yeah, are you?
A little bit.
All right, that's
I'm from the United States, and I'm just really grateful to be part of this community. It's just great. I've joined a couple different communities, and I'm just really grateful for Mark and for the opportunity to be here. So,
awesome.
Thank you guys.
You flew in all the way from the US.
Yeah.
Man.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
How does it feel, by the way? How does it feel to push yourself a little bit?
It feels great. Honestly, it feels great.
Jake, how have you found it from, of course, you've been a student, you've learned different styles, you've done reasonably well before. How did you find Falcon?
Before I jump into that, I was going to say that's the difference between being an analyst and a trader. Yeah. You want to analyze on the weekend because if you're analyzing during the week, it's hard to make the transition from, okay, well, this is what I'm analyzing, and it's like, how do I actually trade this market? So that's definitely important. But for me, apart from these guys, I've been trading since 2010. So a very slow learner. It took me 4.5 years to get consistent. Was studying full time. So for me, I went through a couple of scams I didn't know till after. But for me, it's like, okay, well, my university degree, I did biomedical science and pre-med. It was a 6-year degree. So I thought, okay, when I originally got into trading, I have 6 years to make this to be successful. And then it's like, okay, now I'm going to be a full-time trader after my degree. So I came into this thinking, I'm thinking long-term. I'm thinking 6 years minimum. And if it does before that or after, so be it. But I was thinking long-term. And I know a lot of people, and we talk to a lot of people all the time, they jump in and it's like, oh, I've been a member for 2 weeks. I've done all the content. Why aren't I successful? And it just blows my mind. And it's like, you're in the best community. I would have literally killed for this when I first started it. As I said, it took me 4.5 years. And I appreciate the journey because I definitely learned a lot about myself. But you're in the best position.
And remember this, whoever you're surrounded by, if you feel like some people are bringing you down, things like that, no one doing better than you will be hating on you or trying to bring you down. It's normally an insecurity of that. So if you might have some friends that you maybe don't do trading or things like that, and they ask you, what are you doing with this Forex thing? Or that can't be done and all that kind of stuff. People fear what they don't know, so they don't understand. People often will base decisions of what they think rather than what they know. And we do this in business, we do this in life, to do everything. So make sure that you have independent thinking, make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people, and just ask those people. It's very simple. You would never ask someone who is overweight to get you in shape, right? And that seems obvious because it's visual and things like that. But it's true when you're surrounding yourself. Like I was talking in the keynote, 75,000 thoughts per day. That's not just something I'm saying because it sounds good. It's scientific. We all experience this. We're all humans. So just be aware of those thoughts. And if you're realizing that people are bringing you down, then sometimes you just have to make the sacrifice to move away from that. Like I said in my original goal setting book, 2012, I'm prepared for sleepless nights. I was already focused on the long game. Even though I was being sold on the idea that it will happen, I'm not sure if you could see in the book, but it said something like you can do this for as easily as 20 minutes a day. Now, although that might be true to an extent once you know what you're doing, but it's the wrong mindset to have to think that you're going to just focus for 20 minutes and that's going to be it.
And I'm sure most of you are here to sort of make the really big money, the sort of, like you say, the Lamborghini money. I'm sure that's somewhere along the line that's in your objective. And the number that managed to achieve that is perhaps closer to an eighth or a quarter of that 1%. But the good thing about that is its skill. The same research found that it takes skill. Those people didn't succeed through luck. They succeeded continually because they were skillful. They develop the right behaviours, the right mindsets, the right attitudes. And not many jobs offer that. Like we said, it's a strange job, but it's one of the few jobs. In a sense, it is a long out-the-money call option with a very high payoff if you can make it. And I believe that anyone can make it. I don't believe there is anyone that doesn't have the potential. Some people have asked me over the years, is there a certain type of person more likely to succeed than others? And we've carried out some private research looking at all different personality types. And actually we see successful people in all different areas of personality. There is not one type that has an edge over another type. What there is people who actually work in a way that's congruent to their personality. That is far more important. So we see some spectacularly successful people who you might call highly risk averse. We see some people who are very risk tolerant, who are highly successful. We see some people who are very excitable and intense, who are very successful. And then we see some people who are very down-to-earth, rule-based, rule-driven. That there is no one overall type. But the thing that is important is it's down to skill, not luck. And it's not just down to the skills, the technical skills, the intellectual skills. It's down to the emotional skills, the human skills, the behavioural skills. Probably even more so, if I was to say anything, most people can learn the technical skills. Learning those human skills is the toughest part.
Okay, so the question for everyone was, when I went full-time, what was the daily routine? I'm probably not the best person to answer this because I messed up my daily routine massively when I first went full-time. I went from working the 9 to 5 and having an extremely structured day where every hour I had to regiment my time, to having no boss, no alarm clock, and I was sleeping in till 11 o'clock and watching too much Netflix. And I really messed myself up, and it had a massive detrimental effect on my trading and on my trading results. But it kind of comes back to the daily goals. So we hear Mark and Jake and everyone talking about this a lot, and it's for a good reason, because these daily goals, it's such an easy thing to do, and it's a very easy thing not to do, just to hold yourself accountable. So now I've been setting like at least 5 daily goals every single day. Even on weekends, when the markets are closed and things like that, I still set myself goals. Go for a run, do an hour of back testing, do some forecasting, read a book. And the more you do this, the better you get at it, and you start to build momentum. But I mean, for myself personally, when I'm with my day, I've got the whole day to do what I want, basically, but I can't do 5 hours of back testing. My brain doesn't work that way, and I switch off and I check out mentally after about an hour or 90 minutes. So you have to time block and break your day up into different sections. I know I'm going to pass the mic to Jake in a second. He's going to cover this in a bit more, but breaking your day up and structuring it so you have a chance to get some solid work done, walk away, let your brain reset, do something else, maybe go outside for a walk or go for a run, whatever, and then come back and do some more work. But it all comes back to your daily goals and building that momentum, starting your day off well in the morning, getting some momentum going and carrying it through.
I've been trading now for about 10 years, profitable or consistent for 2 years, and I joined Falcon in November. And I think for me, the main breakthrough that I found is that we all focus on the negatives or on the losses, and a lot of us, when we take losses, we dwell on them, and we focus all our efforts on how not to lose. So we look at the charts and we try and work out, well, should we add bigger stops, what should we do to try and do that? And actually, when I changed my focus to rather focusing on that, I focused on more of the how to make more profit. So then I started, when I was back testing, I was looking at how, instead of looking at losses, focus on the profit and how I can extend the profits, how I get more profits, how I can manage trades better. And it's really funny because once you start focusing on more profit, you seem to be getting more profit rather than focusing on losses. Because I tend to find the more you dwell on losses, the more you're likely to get more losses. So that was a massive help for me, I think.
Who would like to share very quickly your biggest learning experience from today? I'll give you 30 seconds. Who would like to share something?
Can you hear me? Yeah, perfect. I think one of the biggest things that I've taken away from today has been allowing the process to work Something that I've personally been struggling with is trying to rush and put this time as to when I want to become successful. And I think a lot of people are struggling with that, but maybe are afraid to say that because they're afraid to think of what other people would think of them. But I've majorly struggled with that, where I feel, just based on my background, that I had to reach a certain point in my life at a certain stage. And yeah, it's just been incredible because you realize that everybody has their own journey and you just have to focus on your path and be able to allow that to work, rather than trying to focus on somebody else's journey and say, that's what I need to do, or that's the things that I need to take on board. And just resonate with what you resonate with, basically, from what everyone says, and follow that. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I want to finish off. Firstly, you guys and girls, you know I appreciate every single one of you and the things that we're working on in the background. If you could just be a fly on the wall of the amount of care that we're focusing on, how to bring more value, how can we bridge the gap to help more people become consistent. Honestly, it's a breath of fresh air to be working with the team with that thought process and those values. But one thing I want you to take away from this day is about language. You heard me talk about it in my keynote at the very beginning, and you realize that something so simple as a thought, whether it's positive or negative, could have such a compound effect on your future. So be aware of your language. And a particular quote that I've lived by for years and years, and it's so practical, so simple. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're both usually right. And it's always those two things, isn't it? The person who thinks they can get in shape will get in shape. The person who thinks they can't, they won't. And it's really that simple. If you're having self-doubt, if you're having anything in your mind, remember that quote. It is normally the person that just thinks they can is the one that does it. Now, if you back that with practical steps, you visualize, you have your goals, you hold yourself accountable, and you do these things, and you follow the principles that we've done today, surrounding with you guys and girls that are just amazing. I mean, we're all going to be successful. It's going to be inevitable. So I appreciate it. Share your thoughts in Slack and everything like that. I would love to hear about it. And again, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you all. So a big round of applause. Thank you all for coming. Can't wait to see you all again.